I mentioned we measure engagement. This is what that measurement looks like in a survey. When we run an employee survey, this is one of the metrics that comes out of that. We classify employees into different categories of engagement. How many of you have ever been involved in a process like that where you've seen at least some form of that? Some of you have, many of you have. Those that work at DecisionWise should be at least somewhat familiar with this. If not, Matt, write down their names. We're going to help. There's different versions of this. Gallup uses fewer categories, for example, but when we break it up, we break it into 4 categories. Fully engaged, key contributor. We often look at these together. We see here in this data set here, 78% of this grouping shows up as one of those favorable levels of engagement. We have the opportunity group. This is the group that we actually see the most movement in. Every year we see movement between each of these groups. If we measure an organization's engagement year over year, we'll see some migration. This is the group that's most fluid. It's Ohio. It's the swing state. We might vote this way, we might vote that way. And then we see the fully disengaged. 5% fully disengaged is actually a norm for 2019. This is what we see on average for organizations. And we don't see as much movement here. Once you choose to disengage, it's rare that we choose to re-engage. So we spend more time focusing on what's going on here, how can we improve this, how can we strengthen that, and how can we help these folks find a better opportunity where they feel like they can engage. So understanding this is very much the world we've lived in for a long time in helping to measure and understand and improve engagement, something really big occurred to us. It was big to me, a mind shift for me, a realization that you can't build employee engagement. You can't build it, not directly. You have to cultivate it. It really is that invitation. You can't build it because there's this complexity in the mix of, it'd be nice to think if we get all the ingredients right, everyone's going to engage and we're going to do big things. But there's this complex piece of human choice that comes into the mix. People bring with them their own complexity, their own external expectations, their own personal life situations, those types of things. So they get to choose whether or not they engage. That doesn't mean we can't influence it, and we influence that in the employee experience we create. I'm going to show a model that might be a lot of information in a setting like this, but I'm going to show it, and if you want to talk to us about it after, happy to explore that with you. But this is how I use and how our consulting team talks about improving employee engagement. If we want to improve employee engagement, this is the outcome. If we want to improve this outcome, I'm going to work right to left here. Then we have to recognize that there's a 50-50 proposition. The organization creates an employee experience, and we can be deliberate about that. We can build that. And then the employees get to choose, based on this experience, what level am I going to engage? Am I going to go all the way here? Or, am I going to disengage? And so we remember that there's this element here. There's an edge or an ending to organizational influence. Now, we can do a lot here, and that's where we spend our time helping organizations improve this employee experience. Here's a simple model to get us there. Let's say, for example, we run a survey, and we see that, you're not listening to your employees. Employee voice is low. Then we might walk through and say, okay, what's happening within managers and team settings? How do we improve the employee listening experience there? What about your organizational structures? Do you have the right channels? Do we have barriers in place to help empower, that limit the voice of the employee? And then what's happening at a senior leadership level? How are we talking about the employee voice? How are we celebrating employee ideas, closing the loop there? So this is a model and a way of thinking that evolved because we realized you can't build employee engagement directly. You really have to focus on the experience.